Not a good sign. Oh, look at my hair. How's that
We're
great?
live.
Oh, fun. God. My wife buys whole milk. It's gross.
Is that like just a mug of whole milk?
No,
Oh.
no, I'm not a 2-year-old. This is a
well, that is.
no. It's an iced latte that I made myself like a barbarian because I didn't have time to go to the store.
Oh, somebody's watching from Costa Rica. How I would love to be in Costa Rica right now, rather than sitting here staring at your face.
Right? Yeah, I'd rather be there too, as well, instead of staring at my face. Preferably sleeping on the beach, listening to the waves.
Yeah.
But this is good too.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. I can hear the rumblings of a.
I can hear
water
the
heater.
rumblings of my tinnitus, and yeah, it's just like the beach.
They're pretty.
Connect on Microsoft Dev Tools.
It's definitely just as salty. I think that's probably about the only thing that's same. You two look like you've had a heavy week. Thanks, Peter. Peter, darling. I think it's every week's a heavy week.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the great thing is, if all things go well, I'll be ripping out a toilet that was installed approximately in 1960. So.
Right. Well, maybe you'll find a hidden treasure. It's always the hope when you open a wall, or anything like that.
Yep. We'll see if we can get that bathroom done this weekend. We'll see. It's moseying along, I think is fair.
Mm-hmm. You would have been a terror in the Old West.
Now, it's supposed to fade to black, but it didn't. Whatever. I don't compute.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
But it didn't. And here we are.
Sorry.
On a Friday live show as we
live without a net.
I think it is fair to say what we do every week. Paul is a high wire act.
Yep. What's going to happen next?
Will he step in the animal poo? Most likely. Anyway, speaking of animal poo, Google's throwing some animal poo on Edge. Did you see?
Yeah.
This
came up on Windows Weekly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I want to be really clear about this. There is nothing insecure about using an Edge extension in the new Edge.
Yeah.
A Chrome extension.
Because it is Chrome.
And yeah, that's just deliberately misleading and is a dumb thing to do on Google's part.
It feels desperate. Kind of what it feels like.
It feels childish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels...
It's like, no, you're a poop head. That doesn't even make sense. Well, like, what are you talking about? I don't know.
Well, this show's getting off to a fast start, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Really, really fast start. There was something else. I don't even know. Oh, you ordered a phone.
I did, yeah.
Why? And what?
Because it's been a couple months. No, I don't. Well, look, I know it's not going to pan out, but there's hope that the new, the high-end Samsung, which has the 108 megapixel camera lens, one of them, will be great, and we'll see. But the thing is, I don't think it's going to make it, right? So we'll see. I mean, I've always been disappointed in the end by the Samsung cameras, but my wife needs a new phone anyway, and so I was going to upgrade her to the Note 10 Plus that I bought last year. Mm-hmm. Which is paid off or whatever. But this will be an interesting, for the $700 this is going to cost me. I'll get a free pair of Galaxy Bud Pluses. I'll get a free case for the phone. and she'll have a year newer phone that will last her for a longer period of time. If it so works out that I don't keep it for myself, which is what I expect,
Mhm.
and then I get to write about it, and so there's some value to that. So
Yeah.
it's not a complete waste. I mean, $1,400 per phone sounds ludicrous because that is literally ludicrous. That's a crazy amount of money. And if you are a Samsung fan and you really want to own this thing, wait 2 months because the prices come down pretty dramatically over time, and there are sales and whatever. But for purposes of reviewing it and stuff, I mean,
Yeah, the 100x zoom is, I think, a bad marketing thing because Apple, by that same thing or whatever, can say, well, our phones have 10x, or at least mine has 10x zoom.
Well,
but
yes.
it doesn't. It has
Right.
2x.
So I'd have to go back and see exactly how Samsung promotes this, but and if I'm wrong, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but I think they describe it as like 10x optical, and it's not. It's hybrid zoom. It's a combination of optics and lots of computation. It's still better than pure digital zoom, and I think they're advertising. I think the 100x figure you just said is the digital zoom. Digital zoom is not completely worthless, but it's obviously you're going to introduce a lot of noise, and if you're holding it yourself, I mean, you can't.
Oh yeah, you can't. There's no way.
By the time it reaches the top, the subject, you might as well be doing this with the phone. I mean, you would need a tripod. So, we'll see. I'm just very interested in this. I mean, I went to a couple of concerts recently. You can always tell, like, you ever see the movie Major League where they're going on a really crappy plane and it's going up and down in the storm, and there's this guy who's like a voodoo guy, but he starts praying to like Jesus or whatever, and the guy's like, oh, he's not fooled, like when the shit hits the fan, that's when you really find out about like what people really think about stuff. And like when pictures really matter to me, or I want to really zoom in and get a pretty clear shot, like I'll bring these days the Huawei phone with me. So I've done that with concerts, or if I go on a trip, like I'll do the same thing. Like I just really like the way that camera works. I happen to use a Google phone day to day, and it takes great pictures for the most part. But when it really, really matters, I will switch phones. And so I'd love to find one device that had it all.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. So I did this right before the show, and I just kind of forgot about it as I do things and then forget about them. So I was on Netflix eating lunch, watching TV or whatever, and I realized there's no way to actually filter 4K content. That's that's
on the app. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I tweeted at them, and then they messaged me back, and I shouldn't be sarcastic to them. But the first question they ask in DMs is, does your device support 4K?
Oh, yikes. Hey, listen, I'd love to go through the customer support flowchart that I know you're using, but seriously?
Like I'm paying for 4K. I know it supports 4K. That's
Hold on, let me wipe the drool off my remote and find out. Like, seriously.
So they just messaged me, and I was like, I appreciate the quick response. That's great. All I want to know is just how do I search?
Sometimes you'll see, I don't know what you call them, but those rows they have, like one will be like your list and then whatever it is. One of them, sometimes it will say like 4K.
I've yet to have it say 4K. Mine is always.
I see that sometimes, but I don't think it's their whole collection. I think it's
it's definitely not. Most of their stuff is in HD, which looks fine on the TV, but
so. If you look this up, like people have all these different hacks for getting to different areas of Netflix that are normally hidden or seeing certain lists and things. They all require you to be on a real computer using a browser. So I suspect you could find a list of their actual 4K content that way. That's just my guess.
Yeah, I wonder if I haven't tried it on a browser because who uses the browser?
No, of course not. But if you just want to find the content, like in other words, right? I know that's ridiculous, but I mean, but it's also the most powerful device, and so they have more capabilities. I don't know.
I know. A bunch of more games coming to xCloud, which is great, but not on iOS, which is a bit of an
well, maybe that will be changing soon, Brad. Because of the news we saw this week. I mean, Apple seems to have seen the light about all the customer stuff that people want. And
maybe this will be
for all the right reasons.
iMessage on other platforms. Not holding up.
No, that's crazy talk, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's the dream that I keep holding out for. But
I have a story for you, Brad.
Uh-oh.
this morning, I went to the gym later than usual because we're doing we don't do the show in the morning, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And my wife was like, "Oh, you should grab something for lunch on the way home." And then I was like, "Well, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to go at a particular time." And I kind of figured it out. So I basically had like 30 minutes to kill at one point. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to experiment with that Sonos thing. So I pulled a speaker out of the kitchen, decoupled the stereo pair,
Yeah.
put it in the living room, attached it with an Ethernet cable to the router.
Oh, yeah.
Brought it back up, right? Re-identified it as a new speaker, or a different, same speaker, different room, whatever. I'll spare you the inanity of, well, no, I won't. I'll tell you this. So
I was going to make it easier for you, but now
this is not. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is just because I feel like some other people might actually run into this problem. I have a router. The thing I think of as the router is the thing my cable company gave me, and it has probably 4 Ethernet ports in the back. I've disabled its Wi-Fi, and I'm using Wi-Fi through the Google Wi-Fi, which is that mesh networking thing that I'm using. So attached to it via an Ethernet cable is a Google Wi-Fi, and I have a couple of other things attached directly to that router, like my Roku, and I think my app, what do you call it, Amazon Fire TV stick. But there's like one port open on it, so I plugged the Sonos into that. And the reason I'm telling you this story is that's not the Wi-Fi router. That goes out to the internet. So just so you know, that didn't work. So I spent a little bit of time because you have to be on the same network as the Wi-Fi. Well, let me just say it didn't work. But the point is, once I connected, attached to the, sorry, I'm babbling here. Attached to the Google Wi-Fi is a switch, which has other stuff on it. So I plugged it in there and it came up like immediately. So for some reason, when I plugged it off of the back of the internet router.
That makes sense.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it
happened. I mean, if it doesn't make sense or not, it's just so if anyone's going to do this, I mean, if you have this kind of a setup, just so you know, it has to be on the same thing as the Wi-Fi, if that makes sense. Anyway,
which does make sense. Yeah,
I think it does. So it works immediately. Like it was fine. Like it was fine. Like I went out to, and by it, I don't mean the speaker in the living room. That worked fine too. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I mean, as I walked out to the sunroom and cranked on those big speakers, and perfect immediately. And I've been having a lot of problems with those lately, and with the ones in the kitchen. But now there's only one in the kitchen, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it was actually kind of nice. Now, the other thing is, if you go into the Sonos app, advanced settings, network, you'll see. You can choose like the wireless. Well, you can choose the wireless network, but then once you do this, there's a second option that comes available that's like Sonos Net or something.
Yes, that's the one you want.
And that lets you choose the channel.
Yep.
And now it's possible there'll be interference at some point in the future, and I'll have to screw around with it, whatever. But and I can't say 100%. I just tested it once and it worked. I mean, whatever. But I have to say, like after a few disappointing nights of like, seriously, what the hell, trying to get this thing to work, like it just kind of came on normally, which is, the baseline for things that work, I guess. But it was kind of, but it was nice. Like it was, so I did do that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And I'll write this up eventually. I still haven't written anything about like Apple TV and or the Echo Input, which is the Amazon Chromecast like dongle. Like I still am going to write about that stuff. But I just want, this thing was in kind of a holding pattern because it wasn't working correctly. And I wanted to be able to say something semi-intelligent about that. And maybe I'm there now. I don't know. So
that's
anywho,
debatable, but
yes. I'll try to write it in a less babbling form than I just said it out loud. But that's the basic story.
Yeah. I mean, the short version is you plugged it in and it worked. The irony is that they promote that they're wireless speakers, but the way you fixed it was by plugging in at least one wire.
Yeah, and I need to kind of investigate this a little more to understand why this works the way it does and what this even means or whatever. And I'm sure there are Sonos guys out there who are like, oh yeah, like I knew you needed to do this the whole time or whatever. But I'm just happy it worked because honestly, what this means is I need to have a $100 speaker in my living room, even if I don't want music in there. But that sounds ludicrous. That's cheaper than running Ethernet out to that sunroom or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess unless I did it myself, which should be difficult, but possible. I mean, it's cheaper than finding a new wireless system that let me change. I mean, there's all kinds of other things I could have done, I guess. But honestly, if it works, I'm fine with that. So, plus we eventually do want to have speakers in there, for as part of a TV thing.
Yeah, you just go buy, I think, a Beam. There you go.
Yeah. Just go spend $600. It'll solve all your problems.
Well, you don't need the 600. You just need the 400, and then you're going to want the sub. So then you're into about $1,000.
Right. And then I'll get the 2 little ones for the rears, and then I've spent $1,200.
Yeah, your wife's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Look, I had to spend $1,200 to
I'm fixing the
fix."
Wi-Fi. What do you mean? Also, we're watching Star Wars tonight.
Yes, I need to watch some Star Wars. Like I told you, I've been. Like, I was just browsing through Netflix. I was like, there's a lot of stuff. I've been deliberately, 1, not watching stuff because I've been doing the basement.
Right.
But 2, waiting for the TV and all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff I really
watch it on Disney, obviously. That might be the only way you can't watch it. It's because it's in 4K.
Yep. So, I got that. Our couches, I believe, are the rest of our couches are coming next Wednesday. Or, this upcoming Wednesday. So,
are they on some kind of a stagecoach? What's the mode of transportation?
Stagecoach.
What is?
Yes, we didn't pay for the upgraded oxen. We only have 1 horse pulling.
Well, I mean, guy with a whip back there.
They're not. It's not IKEA furniture. Like, these are proper couches that should last for at least to my daughter's a teenager.
Present that. These are high quality particle board things I've got behind me. I they're held together with little wooden dowels. I mean,
whatever could go wrong.
Jeez. I mean, if I tripped and fell into it, it would probably collapse like a house of cards. But
when we bought the TV stand that the TV is on, I was just going to get something from IKEA. My wife's like, no, let's do something different or whatever. And it actually came flat packed. And because we literally went to the warehouse and got it. And I believe they would have come to our house and built the thing. And I was like, whatever. I can build IKEA furniture. But this thing was really well built. All you did was open it up and everything was pre-installed, hinged, and you just kind of fold it up and then put some pins in. I was like, that's what not crappy furniture looks like.
Yep. I don't have any of that, but it sounds nice.
Yeah, it worked out well. So looking forward to that sectional, and then there'll be some Star Wars, just mostly for the music. That's what I love about Star Wars. So
yeah, me too.
So I don't know. That's kind of about it. There's some icons, but icons be icons, whatever.
I obviously I wrote this thing about the icons this morning. I know some people are going to look at that and be like, oh, there he goes again,
Mm-hmm.
But,
there he goes again.
I mean, seriously, look, I like them, to be honest.
They look fine.
They're awfully blue. And I happen to like the color. I do use a blue background on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should also respect the fact that maybe other people might like different colors.
Yeah.
One of the things that was kind of nice about the old style icon, the kind that, in other words, everyone has today, is that they changed with the dark to light mode theme. As they sort of respected that. Now, looking at my taskbar, I couldn't really count them up, but I mean, there's probably 4 or 5, 7 different kinds of icons. And so now there's one less fewer kind, I guess. So they did solve a little bit of a problem, but I don't know. We also have, we're 5 years into Windows 10, and technically this icon style debuted in Windows 8. And so we're really kind of 8 years in. And what that means is a lot of third-party apps have started using these flat icons, and they're doing the white dark thing like Microsoft's been telling them to do. And Microsoft just arbitrarily colorized a bunch of their icons for some reason. And now the icons all look different again. So I don't know.
They're icons.
They're icons, yeah. I like them. I mean, that's the thing. I actually do like them. And then you open the app and it's still the same piece of crap it was before, and that's a little disappointing. But
we're so close. We're so close.
It doesn't.
We're gonna end on a compliment sandwich.
Didn't fix any substantive problems, but the icon's pretty. No.
Well, on your tombstone, when you die an early death, I'll pick the ugliest icon and
yes, right,
and blazon it right on
the notepad icon with the glass would be nice. But why is it looking off to the side?
Actually, you know what I'll put on your tombstone is the little blue, when an app crashes, the little spinny.
Yes, yes. Boy.
And then every anniversary, I'll come and put a beach ball. And be like, why is he putting a beach ball on his tombstone? It's like, you know.
I already have the motto for my tombstone. It's he died as he lived, stupidly.
That's great. Which minor Netflix update. I did go to netflix.com, logged in, cannot find a way, at least easily, to.
No, you got to Google this, because there are people have, like, it's not hacking Netflix, but people have found all these secret parts of Netflix and ways to access, stuff that Netflix doesn't typically show you. There's a whole subculture of this stuff, dude. It's
4K
like a
Netflix content. Oh, great. It binged it. Let's go to a real.
It's like, first, make sure you have a 4K TV.
There's literally a website called What's on Netflix. Like, I guess I could see people like really.
No, it's crazy.
What do you need to stream a 4K Netflix? First thing, number one item, a 4K TV.
Does it say that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I guess I can look at this website and it'll tell me all the different things. And that'll be great.
Yep. Well, it will be something. It will be better than not knowing, I guess.
Yep. So, all right, folks. Well, that wraps it up for today. We'll be back, I think, Monday, because Monday is not a holiday, unlike this past Monday was. But we still podcast because we love you.
Yeah, we probably got paid extra.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Oh.
Because I go through the comments. Are we live? Or are we not?
Yeah, we're still live.
Yeah, who cares? So I always, on Fridays, I do this. I spend about half an hour on this every morning, and on Fridays, I because you do your kind of question and answer thing as a video podcast, right?
Yep.
And I do my own answer and question thing as a written article. So there are questions for both of us, and it's interesting because what I'm looking for is spam. So I'm not looking at who sent it until I see something that looks suspicious, and I'm not looking at the thing they're commenting on. So it's not always clear what it is, but the questions that people ask us are interesting, and they ask you and I very different questions. Like a lot of your questions are like the people assume you have some like deep insight into everything that's going on at Microsoft.
I wish.
And and it's really interesting. They're always like, well, hey, I know you wrote about this, but did you know if they were doing this? Or like, and it's like, well, I sort of like, my response to that is always like, I sort of feel like if I did, I would have written about it, or I can't speak about it either way. So, it's like, it's not like we're kind of sitting on stuff, but anyway, the point of all this is it's interesting because I don't see them in context. So I go through the thing and I'm like, huh. And I look over and it's like, it's for you. And I'm like, oh, good. I don't have to deal with that. That's good. And then I go down further and it's like, there's another question. And I'm like, oh. And I look over and I'm like, oh, that one's for me. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And then, I kind of go through it and I don't know, it's interesting because we both coincidentally, probably, I guess, we happened to do this on the same day. So I just happened to see them like 2 years ago or something. Like I never would have seen them.
Yeah.
But now I'm paying attention to it because we basically get spammed every day. It always starts out the same way. Some guy will go, "This is very interesting."
Oh,
Thank
I know.
you for
Every
this
comment,
post." It's like, that sounds so innocuous. I'm going to guess that account was created in the last 24 hours by a guy that is probably from Pakistan and, for some reason took the time to add an image to his account profile that is for a lyrics website. It's like, yikes.
Everything is
every day.
I really like this article by you. Would you like to buy a wallet? Here's a great link. Like, that's what they are.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yep.
All
it's right up there with my sponsored posts emails that I get every day too. Every day.
Later.
Bye.